Dear host, Happy New Year! I hope you had a safe and fantastic celebration. I am wishing you health, joy, and amazing guests for 2021. It is that time of the year, so I'm looking back to see if La Casita in Puerto Rico was worth the effort. And in today's episode, I'm going to dive into the 2020 finances of La Casita head first. Because was it a profitable year? We'll find out. Now, one of the reasons I believe you need to check your numbers more than once a year is to adjust and implement any changes in your business strategy. Look, you might decide to stop doing short-term rentals and maybe get into the travel nurse market, or even focus on attracting longer-term guests. But you can only know this by diving headfirst onto finances. Now, in today's episodes, I'm going to discuss how much we spent to build La Casita and maintain it through the year, the mistakes I feel we made, and most important, how much we actually earned from Airbnb. So listen up to 2020, a year review for La Casita. Now, dear hosts, when Javier and I started La Casita in Puerto Rico, we had dreams, visions of wonderful guests, and that's return on our investment and some ease. In episode 94, Lessons Learned from Building the New Airbnb La Casita, which aired in December 2019, I spoke about the market research we did, the nightly rate we wanted to charge, the amenities we planned to offer, our mindset, and how we wanted to set ourselves apart from the other short-term rentals in our neighborhood. If I've only known how much our mindset will be tested again and again during this last year. Look, I think that is one of the biggest lessons. So, how much it costs? Let's start with how much we actually spent, because I know that inquiring minds want to know. Now, starting out, we did some construction on La Casita, a brand new bathroom, as well as some new stove and refrigerator, lots of painting inside and outside. We knew we wanted to do these upgrades before we even started. Yes, before our first guest came in. Now, our biggest expenses for setting up the space were a bathroom construction, because that was about $1,900. Now, the total for painting the interior, the exteriors, the rails, and doing some cement work that we wanted done came to about $1,900 as well. And then we had some unexpected expenses, because we also have a very expensive issue arise unexpectedly after we opened La Casita. We actually had to purchase and install a new water pump. Now, we had not realized the water pressure was so horrid until reviews mentioned it. So to improve it, we spent $1,700 between the plumber and this pump. And yes, that's a lot of money when your nightly rate is not optimal. So before we were even open, we had spent $10,000. And by the time we started the year, it was over $12,000. And then in 2020, we bought a generator for $1,600. And these are all huge items, but thankfully they are one-time expenses, because we're not buying another generator or water pump ever, hopefully. And I have a list of all the items you need for your vacation rentals and the products I use and recommend. And I'm going to link that link down below. It is everything you need and nothing you don't. Now, our total expenses between construction and all the other expenditures for 2020 was almost $15,000. Actually, it was $14,991.15. Yeah, let's not forget those 15 cents. And dear host, that is almost 15 grand for a one-bedroom home that is less than $75 per night. Ouch. So, is it worth it? Let's talk about the year, because life happened starting December 28th of 2019 and still happening now in 2021. Puerto Rico has had a sequence of earthquakes and tremors. Yes, one of the biggest one occurred on January 7 at 4:24 a.m. And yes, we had guests checking out and arriving on that January 7th. Look, earthquakes and guests don't really miss well. Actually, life and earthquakes don't miss well. So, the arriving guests were coming from visiting relatives in another part of the islands where there was no water. So even though they had no electricity during most of their stay, this couple gave us glowing 5-star reviews and even left us some gifts. Nice guess. When we set up La Casita, we decided to get a gas hot water heater and a gas stove instead of getting additional electrical appliances. And that was a very good decision because even after the earthquake, our guests had hot water to shower and were able to cook. Now, it doesn't mean that every design decision was a good one, and I'm going to talk about that later. Then, on March 15, the world stopped because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we had 9 cancellations of reservations from March until May, just like everywhere else. Javier and I decided to actually close down La Casita until we knew further. I just blocked days on the calendars, and before we knew it, it was May, and someone booked. Believe me, we were surprised. By this time, Puerto Rico had implemented very strict regulations for short-term rentals and actually island-wide. And as a result, we also decided to change the way we hosted. Look, before March, we used to accept one-night rentals because we live close to the airport, but now we have a 4-night minimum. We also used to accept guests checking out and in the same day. But for safety reasons and to adhere to regulations, we moved to having a 2 days close between guests. Now in January, we have just 1 day in between. Now, part of the reason for this change is more intensive cleaning protocols. Of course, all of this affects the income because we're not available 30 days of the month, which means less money. But it's also about the quality of life. There has to be a balance. So, surviving reviews. Yeah. There was something else that affected our pricing, and a few non-stellar reviews were the cost because our first review gave us 3 stars on overall. Yeah. He gave us 5 stars on everything. But that overall question, which is what folks really view, he gave us a 3. I was really upset, to say the least. Of course I was. I'm human. But we kept getting 5 stars on everything, but then some 4 on overall. And we just don't know why. And I didn't get it. Believe me, we tried. And this was one of the reasons for that almost $2,000 water pump because we wanted to improve our reviews. Now, at the time of this recorded, we have 36 reviews and our overall is a 4.69, which is kind of low. At least I feel it is. Cleanliness is a 5.0. Yay, Javier. Communications 4.9, check-in 4.9, accuracy 4.8, location 4.8, and value 4.8. It is what it is. Now, we also had one guest that gave us 1 star because even though we told them that they could not have any parties or gatherings at the home, they kept bringing people over and having loud music. Look, we live in a quiet residential neighborhood. Our neighbors know we do Airbnb. And we like to respect their quality of life. So those guests who review stated, don't book if you want to have a good time. We're like, yeah, don't. Because we really don't want them back either. So this is one of the reasons I highly recommend that you keep track of who stayed, payments, ratings. I have a spreadsheet that I have kept since the first guest I hosted back in 2010. Now, one of the things that I use for it is to keep specific notes on whether I want each guest back and even include their rating review. What I will do differently. Look, you live and learn. And some of the things that I now know I would do differently are an air conditioner. In La Casita, we only have 1 air conditioner and that's in the bedroom. And I feel we should have added an air conditioner to the living room when we were building it. It would have been easier. Because this not only affects our reviews, but folks try to cool the entire apartment with this smaller unit, which we fear it will break. And look, we've tried creating a new air conditioner, but because of the pandemic, it is harder to get appliances and it's even harder to find people to come and install them. It is what it is. But it's one of the things that we're going to fix in 2021. Now, the bathroom. As I mentioned before, I have this amazing shower system in New York. Guys, love it. And so do I, because it is my house. It is fantastic. So I thought, let's add it to Puerto Rico. Big fail. Because of the lack of water pressure, remember that water pump? This same shower that gets stellar reviews in New York just doesn't cut it for La Casita. It just doesn't work. For us to change it, it would be costly. For now, we're stuck with it. But we do address the issue in our listing description and correspondence with guests. We do. We try our best. Look, I'm not a designer. This was another mistake I made. And I don't play anywhere on the interwebs about designer. I prefer spending the money and having the place designed by someone that this is their profession. I feel that La Casita is like style that make it pop and make it different because it was just me doing it. Ugh. But I'm doing something about it in 2021, which I will talk about it in a future episode to remediate this. It's going to be a lot of fun. Income prediction versus reality. Look, before we started La Casita, our income predictions were that we're going to make $1,500 to $2,000 a month. And I talk about that in episode 94. Lessons learned from building the new Airbnb La Casita. From December 2019 until December 2020 was $10,460. But remember, we spent almost $15,000. So we're still short about $4,500 from our initial investment. It's one of the reasons why you have to do your numbers. You have to find out, am I making money? The question is, will we have made profit if COVID didn't happen? I think so. We were doing great at the beginning of the year. So now my expectations for 2021. Puerto Rico has some very strict restrictions. Look, the new governor are releasing some of them, but the beaches are closed and they're only used for swimming. There's no laying on the sand and sunbathing. There's also a curfew. Yeah, you need to be home by 9 p.m. And on Sundays, you're required to stay home. No hanging out, no going to the stores. Nope. Calabaza, calabaza, todo el mundo en su casa. There's also weekend dry law. No buying alcohol. This could be extended, but I believe the new governor that just came into Puerto Rico is changing things. I know the vaccine is here, but I think restrictions will continue until the summer of 2021. I'm going to do an episode about my predictions for the year, but I will tell you now that I don't think 2021 will be completely washed out. We will make more money. So, do we feel like Casita is worth the effort? Yes, we do. Because even though we haven't recuperated our initial financial outlay, Javier and I talked about this, and we both feel like Casita is a sound investment. We know that we don't want a long-term tenant there, since sometimes we use the place for ourselves or our family. I believe we will start making a profit this year in 2021, but it all depends on what is coming. What is going to happen? Now, one of the reasons I wanted to do this video is for you to realize that not everything in hosting is a bed of roses, but also not everything are thorns. And even as a host for over 10 years, I'm still learning every single day. I hope that when you look back and look at your numbers, that will be a lot better than mine. But remember, look at them. Decide, where are you going? What is it that you want to do? Let me know in the comments below. How is your year? How is your 2020? Are you open? I know a lot of places in Europe are still closed. So what is happening? And let me know in the comments below. How are you doing? Do you like this episode? Give it a like, subscribe, get notified. And let me know if you want me to let you know the numbers for Evelyn, New York City, because those were very different from all the years. Remember, a happy host makes for a happy guest. I will see you on the next video.